Hello, everybody. Today I will share my own personal learning theory with you. Thank you in advance for listening and watching. When I think about my education as a child, I picture sitting in rows and being lectured to. I rarely remember collaborating with classmates or working on projects. Most of the work was independent and the classroom was very quiet, to the point where you could hear a pin drop. Anyone else remember that kind of classroom? I guess I'm showing my age here, but I'm happy to say that classrooms now have changed drastically since I was growing up and learning. My personal learning theory includes all of the best parts of the learning theories we learned throughout the semester. Let's start with constructivism and what I have taken from that theory to create my own. A constructivist classroom is all about student centered learning, where learners choose not only what to study, but also how and why that topic might be of interest to them. Peer social interaction is a key component and allows students to share and bounce ideas off of each other. The four C's are very important to the success of constructivism theories: collaboration, critical thinking, creativity, and communication. For my own personal learning theory, the part of constructivism that fits so perfectly for me is collaboration and communication. Like I mentioned earlier, my childhood school memories lack communication, and I find that is one of the most important aspects of education. Students need to feel like that they have a voice and that they are being heard. I love the idea of my students sharing ideas with their peers and being able to talk freely. It is so important to create a personalized learning experience for all of my students because everyone learns differently. I want my students to know they have a choice. One educational tool that I utilize in my classroom to encourage problem solving, critical thinking skills, and creativity is Define STEM. My students get the opportunity to work in groups to complete a project online. They have options throughout the project to let their abilities shine through. Project based learning is such a great way to have my students make connections to real world situations, which is so important to an excellent learning experience. We want to prepare our students for the future and give them assignments that are relevant. Another educational tool utilized to encourage collaboration are all of the wonderful Google tools such as Google Classroom and Google Breakout Rooms. My students have the chance to collaborate with their peers and me every single day through Google Classroom. To enhance our communication skills, we use the discussion board feature where students can write to each other and share their thoughts and opinions. We also utilize Google Breakout Rooms to share ideas and communicate effectively. Another great way to incorporate communication and to enhance the learning experience is to utilize Flipgrid. My students love creating their own ideas and being able to receive feedback from their peers and their teacher. Jamboard is also another great technology resource to use as a student collaboration tool for brainstorming. Another learning theory we learned about is cognitivism. This learning theory focuses on the processes involved in learning rather than on the observed behavior. Cognitivists focus more on the internal processes and connections that take place during learning. For my own personal theory, I am constantly trying to have my students make connections to prior knowledge or things outside of the classroom, which I believe helps their understanding become a little more clear. I always ask questions and try to have my students dig a little deeper. For educational technology tools in regards to cognitivism, online games are a wonderful addition. Gamification is such a great attribute to keep our students engaged and excited to learn. My students love playing Quizlet. The next learning theory that intertwines with my own personal learning theory is behaviorism. This learning theory focuses on how students learn and also how they are motivated. It also focuses on observable behavior, and the belief is that behaviors can be trained and altered. Behaviorists believe that a person's environment controls their behavior and that our responses to environmental stimuli shapes our behaviors. As for the connection with behaviorism in regards to my own personal learning theory, it is all about motivation and having fun. So, along with communication and collaboration, I believe motivation is everything to ensure a successful learning environment. Students discover so much when they are having fun. What better way to motivate your students than to make sure you have a fun learning environment? I do whatever it takes to motivate my students and to ensure that they have fun while learning. If it means I have to sing, even though I have a terrible singing voice, well, then I'm singing. If I have to get up on a desk to get their attention, I will do it. I am also very big on competition, mainly friendly competition. I believe that when you get kids to work against each other in a team, there's a lot of motivation there. A lot of times when the kids work together, whichever group wins will earn a reward. Some rewards that I believe to be effective in the classroom are brain breaks or free time. Sometimes students just want some time to themselves to regroup, so both of these rewards are exciting to them. A way to include ed tech for the behaviorism aspect of my personal learning theory is through Class Dojo. But I tried something different this year since we were all virtual. I utilized virtual wallets and I gave my students money for things like raising their virtual hand or reading when they were finished with an assignment. As they earned money, I would add the money to their virtual wallet. At the end of the month, the students were able to go shopping to buy things such as a class Kahoot or a class game or maybe even a homework task. I believe shopping has truly made such a big difference when it comes to classroom behavior. It is so important to set the stage right from the beginning. Explain your classroom rules. Even allow your students to come up with some of the rules they believe are important to ensure a successful, smooth classroom. It is essential to a successful year that you are consistent with your expectations and keep them high. Students will exceed those expectations, especially with positive reinforcers. You can even have your students come up with some consequences and rewards as well, so they have a say and their voices are heard. You might get some suggestions like a McDonald's party, but either way, you will be impressed with what they come up with. I especially like rewards because I believe they are effective with my reluctant students. Another great educational tool to motivate my students is virtual field trips. Another great idea for an activity reinforcer is to use technology platforms such as Kahoot or Prodigy. These are both excellent ways to reward and motivate students. The last way to foster desirable behavior is to give students the reward of a Go Noodle break. It's a quick break that includes physical activity, which will in turn help keep them focused throughout the day. The final learning theory that I was impressed with is the connectivist theory. The main idea of connectivism is that knowledge is a networked phenomenon, and people learn through connections and gathering information. Connectivism theorists believe that information can be shared, grown, and built upon through the use of the internet and technology. As far as utilizing this theory within my own personal learning theory, I believe that it is essential my students learn how to use technology correctly and to their advantage. Technology is advancing, and educators must embrace the technology opportunities available to their students to allow them to make the most of these connections. Many educators stray away from social media, but I believe it is important to embrace it. Our students are utilizing the apps either way, so why not encourage them to gain as much knowledge as possible? We are living in a world where we can easily connect with people all over the world, and that is wonderful for our students. There is a ton of information available online, and our students need to have access to that information. As far as the ed tech component, aside from social media, students can utilize discussion forums, search engines such as YouTube, and wikis to collect and gain info. There are so many instances where my students tell me they learn how to do something from YouTube or from TikTok, and I am impressed at their level of motivation to learn. Aside from communication, collaboration, motivation, and fun, another imperative part of my learning theory is building a good rapport with my students. I visit all the fourth grade classrooms prior to the beginning of the school year so the students can see me and they will feel comfortable in my classroom when they get to fifth grade. From the very first day of school, I greet my students at the door by looking them in the eye and saying good morning. It is so important that our students know that we genuinely care about their lives, so make it a point in conversation to ask about their personal life. I want to know if they have a younger sibling in the building or that what their favorite sport is. All this is essential to my students' success. This class has opened my eyes to so many wonderful ways to make improvements and help my students even more during my educational practice, and I am so grateful for it. With all the wondering and the changes for the future, one thing remains. Our students deserve the best possible education every time they walk into the classroom, or even when they are sitting at their own kitchen table. Thank you for listening to my educational learning theory. I look forward to hearing about all of your learning theories, and I hope that in the future we can have another class together and we can collaborate and communicate. I appreciate your guys' time, and again, I can't wait to see all of your projects. Thank you. Talk to you soon.